Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Welcome to ThePrint. In this latest edition of Page Turner, we'll talk about a book that is more of a biography of a business rather than its founder. We have also with us the author of the book, which narrates the story of entrepreneurship, or what is rightfully pointed out as a corporate social enterprise, as per its founder, who claimed that what wasn't his combined turnover of rupees 25 lakhs in initial 10 years is what his business clocks now under 25 minutes. This is a story about company named Hatsun Agro Limited. However, the real success of the company is just not limited to the huge figure in terms of sales and profit, but what is the business model of the company, ensuring loyalty of the farmers and their welfares while providing a value service to the customers in terms of exclusivity and to quality premium products, which is a great business model that made the company with what is known as like the country's largest dairy. And this book is title is like Broke to Breakthrough, the story of country's largest private dairy, which is Hatsun Agro Private Limited. And it's with great pride and pleasure I welcome Sir Mr. Harish Damodaran, one of the greatest stalwarts of Indian agriculture journalism. And I'm not shy to say it's also a fan moment for me. He's my personal icon in this field. He's also the National Rural Affairs and Agriculture Editor of the Indian Express, and as well as a senior fellow at the Center for Policy Research. Very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks, Samyak.
Sir, to begin with, my first question is, so the hats, on the surface, the Hatsun Agro product success story is all about growing through innovative, low cost, with some exceptions by highly impactful moves. But the larger question is, with the broken breakthrough, that the company learns by trials, by the mistakes that Mr. Chandramogan, the founder of the company, made. So is diversification a bane for the small entrepreneurs, or was it a different story in this terms with this organization?
Yeah, see, Hatsun Agro, I think, is an interesting company. I mean, apart from the fact that today, it has an annual turnover of about 5,600 crore and a market cap of something like, I think, about almost 32,000 crore, Yeah. So it is probably maybe India's most valuable agribusiness company today, But not many would have heard it outside of the South, okay? Yeah. So maybe because of being in Tamil Nadu, etc. Maybe if he was based in Bangalore or even Hyderabad, you would know more about Tamil Nadu. You would know more about Hatsun Agro. In fact, Tamil Nadu is very unique. It has India's largest private sector dairy. Okay. It has India's largest poultry enterprise, which is Suguna. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it also is home to India's egg capital, which is Namakkal. Okay, so Tamil Nadu is Tamil Nadu and Gujarat are two states where, I think livestock has played a huge role, and I think the latest NSSO report shows that I think in these two states, about 44% of the total farm income is coming from livestock. So, and I think Gujarat and Tamil Nadu are two different models. Gujarat, it has been because of cooperatives. Right, it has been because of Amul, but in Tamil Nadu this has come. If you look at, if you go by the official milk production data, okay, the Amul cooperatives collect about 50% of the milk that is produced in Gujarat. In Tamil Nadu, the organized dairies similarly they procure 50% of the official milk production. Okay, it would be actually more because I think the milk production data is always a little overstated. Yeah. Okay, so the organized dairies in Tamil Nadu procure 50% of the state's milk, but it is mostly the private sector dairies. Okay, so Tamil Nadu is a very interesting case of a private sector led development. And Gujarat is, of course, a cooperative. It's a cooperative monopoly there. Whereas in Tamil Nadu, about 2/3 of the milk is procured by organized dairies, especially Hatsun, and then there are many others. There is Tirumala, there is Heritage, there is Dodla. They all do, but I would say that Hatsun is very unique in that way. Both Hatsun and I think Suguna. So I like these kind of companies. Say a Hatsun, a Suguna, say a KRBL when it comes to India Gate Basmati. A Mexico when it comes to seeds. So I think there are a lot of these very successful cases, successful private agribusinesses. And I will say that these are not traders. These are not short-term traders. These are people who have stakes in this industry. And have not been looking at short-term. Okay, like if you look at say Suguna when it comes to poultry, I mean in terms of the unique broiler, the integration contract farming model, it has been entirely Suguna. And same is the case, I will say, with Hatsun, who I think maybe has gone one step ahead of Amul. I mean, they started with the same whatever the model of aggregating milk from I think Hatsun has about 4 lakh farmers. I think 4 to 4.5 lakh farmers. And collecting directly, okay, not through middlemen. Not through bulk vendors, because most private dairies they buy through bulk vendors, through intermediaries. Whereas here you are buying directly from the farmers, which is exactly like what Amul has done. But I think Hatsun has probably gone one step ahead, by also focusing on reducing cost of production of milk. Okay, So somebody like Amul might try to give the maximum price to the farmer, okay, because it is owned by, because Amul is owned by 36 lakh dairy farmers of Gujarat, right? So you try to increase their milk price. You pay the highest procurement price. But I think what Mr. Chandramogan and Hatsun have sought to do is work with the farmers to reduce their cost of production. How can you reduce the cost of production of milk? This means promoting fodder development. Using very high yielding green fodder, which also contains very high crude protein. Like all your milk production is a function of crude protein. How much of protein you give to the animal, and how you can deliver this crude protein in the most cost-effective way. The general thing which normally farmers do is they just feed concentrates, which is basically your concentrated feeds, compound feeds, or maybe, mustard oil cake, groundnut oil cake, and these kind of things. Whereas here, Hatsun has worked with the farmers so that they grow these fodder hybrids, which existed already. Okay, Tamil Nadu Agriculture University had already developed some of these very fine fodder hybrids like Co3, Co4, Co5, this thing. But all those hybrids would have just remained in Tamil Nadu Agriculture Universities, in their trial stations, fields, and all. So something like what KRBL did for the Pusa Basmati varieties, 1121, right? I mean, the Pusa 1121, they got the farmers to cultivate. Otherwise, it would have remained in the Pusa fields, right? But commercializing it. So I think Hatsun saw the potential of these hybrids and introducing it. So one thing is I'm collecting from the farmer, but I also want to make that farmer an efficient milk producer, right? A cost-efficient milk producer, because so that I can maybe double her income, not by increasing procurement price, but by reducing the cost of production, right? And at the same time, I use the Amul principle, which is of buying daily, okay? No milk holidays, okay? Hatsun, like Amul, has never, not even a single day, defaulted on any payment of milk. There's been no milk holidays, okay? Whereas in the same state, the cooperative, there have been times when they have delayed payments by 2 months, 3 months. Okay, so I think this this is a very interesting case of a private sector picking up the Amul model, okay, of direct
And
procurement,
improvising it with the.
yeah. So but using it within a capitalist framework, right?
Yeah.
And a capitalist, and in this case, a capitalist, someone who's not for the short run, right? He's not a lala, right? I mean, out in this thing. Here, he sees it necessary. He looks at the farmer as a supplier, And in the case of dairy, you have to buy milk on a daily basis. Okay. So Mr. Chandramogan didn't start this direct procurement as any. I mean, you mentioned corporate social enterprise, but actually the main reason is not out of any charity or any social service and let's be very clear. I mean, Hatsun is 75% owned by Mr. Chandramogan and his family. Okay, so which is why today I think he's 53rd richest man in India. I think in the latest, I think his personal worth is today. I mean, if it is 30, if the company has a market cap of 32,000 crore, he owns 75% of that. Right. So I found, so I've always found these kind of cases very interesting, where a private sector, using the same capitalist principles, still finds it necessary to work with the farmers. Okay,
as a welfare for the.
It is not welfareism in that way. Okay, Chandramogan gives nothing free. Okay, there's no. I mean, there are no free.
Not even the refrigerators.
Yes, and he has built this entire infrastructure. Okay, which includes setting up these milk collection centers. Okay, and in every milk center collection center, you also have an active bulk cooler. All this has been, and then of course the dairies. I mean, he has set up dairies. None of it has come through any government scheme. There is no Operation Flood, nothing. Okay, so this, I would say, is the private sector's white revolution, which has been without any government support. There's no NDDB, no National Dairy Development Fund, no Operation Flood, nothing. Okay, this has come up entirely on the back of risk capital. So whether is it possible similarly for other private sector entrepreneurs, to look at farmers as partners, by engage with them on a daily basis, work with them, and to come out with some model where it's a win-win for both sides. So I think in that way, I will say that KRBL, I think all these three companies should be documented in detail. Suguna, KRBL, and Hatsun, and I would add even say somebody like Mahiko. Okay, how they have So dealing So I think this is something which is how we should look at agribusiness in India, and you can work with small farmers. How to make the small farmer viable. Right, competitive. You have to, the farmer has to be globally competitive, right? So how do you work together? You ensure return for his labor, but you also ensure return for capital. Because after all, this is here it is risk capital, right? And the way he has done it, I think, is basically creating I call it a B2F and B2C model. That is B to farmer. You're buying from the farmer, and then you are selling to the consumer. So Hatsun is not into the commodities game. Okay, everything it is procuring, it is selling.
Apart from that brief thing that Apurva.
So there's no B2B business. He doesn't sell milk powder in bulk to say a Britannia or to any other, right? He's selling directly to the consumer. So if you look at the entire value chain, you just look at he's buying milk and he's selling ice cream, right? Which is a huge value addition, right? I mean, I'm buying milk from the farmer and I'm selling ice cream to the consumer, right?
And that too a value-added, high-fat content ice cream with low ASF.
Yes. So whatever. So you are capturing the entire value. This thing. You are not giving scope for any other intermediaries in between. Okay. So I would say even Amul does the same thing. Okay, Amul also makes so when you are selling milk as cheese, as butter, as ice cream, definitely you are it is nothing but a B2F and B2C kind of a model, and now I think now Hatsun has gone even one step ahead. Now they are selling pizzas, right?
Yeah.
We know that pizza is nothing but cheese, right? Yeah. So you are converting your milk into cheese, but you're not selling that cheese to the cheese in bulk as a commodity. You are selling that as branded pizza. I think they have their own brand called Oyalow.
Oyalow.
Yes. So again, we haven't heard of these guys because they are in the south. Okay, if Hatsun was in Bombay, everyone would have been writing about him. Okay, yeah, and maybe because he's a very low profile kind of a guy. He's not. I mean, if you meet him, he's the most unlikely whatever Forbes billionaire. You won't see a billionaire like him. And the other thing which I have liked, which has fascinated me about Mr. Chandramogan is he has stuck to dairy. Okay, he has not diversified. Okay, I mean he has. He started off with ice cream, right? And from ice cream he went into dairy, and he has stuck to that. Okay, he may have made a few unrelated diversification here and there, but he always pulled out when he saw that it's not working. But he avoided the temptation of going in for building colleges, buying land, real estate, IT, because he realized that my core competence is in milk. Okay, so how do I become a complete dairyman? And if I can, be part of every chain, the entire chain from the farmer to the consumer. Okay, now he today has, I think something like 3,500 retail outlets. Okay, where he's selling milk, he's selling curd, he's selling ice cream, he's selling paneer. So I think that is something which which I have found very unique. And he has never operated in a place where he doesn't have control of the entire value chain. Okay, like I've asked him many times, why don't you start in Bihar or UP? So he says, look, I don't know the ecosystem there, and I won't be able to manage the ecosystem there. Okay, so he has been in Tamil Nadu. Okay, he has been in Karnataka. He has been in Andhra and Tamil Nadu, and now he has moved to Maharashtra. Okay, he's So Maharashtra, and then I think now he's also planning the next he's looking for is Orissa. Okay, yeah. So yes. So going up, and at the same time, so walking on two horses. One is the farmer, the other is the consumer. So I think yes, I think this is a very fascinating branded consumer business, and at the same time, again, he is very different from other FMCG companies, say like a Hindustan Lever or a Nestle or somebody. They all do third-party sourcing, right? Third-party manufacturing, right? Whereas
and the bulk vendor thing.
Yeah, vendor. So they will buy. I don't know whether Hindustan Unilever does it manufacture any of the quality ice creams and all. Whereas here he insists that I will produce everything. Okay, and not only will I produce milk, not only will I have dairy which will make milk, but I'll also make the plastic film. Okay, the plastic film which I need
and the cups and the cone and chocolate. Yeah.
Yes. And incidentally, even Amul also has its own plastic film unit. Okay. Yeah. He also makes his own cone, the cones which you require for ice cream. He has his own chocolate paste plant. So it is very high level of vertical integration. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think this is something which I think it's a very unique case study. I mean, according to me, maybe it's not as glamorous as say a Marico or an HUL or even and when you talk of South Indian businesses, you'll only talk of say Infosys. The guys who are
or the Fortune 500 or something like that.
Yes. So when you think of South, you only think of IT, right? You think of pharma, right? But you don't think of poultry, you don't think of dairy. How these have been built, through through private enterprise. I think that is the big takeaway.
So speaking of this, like milk as one of the 4 leading agri-produce, so the whole story of Chandramogan turning the milk or the dairy sustenance for farmer are more profitable than the whole grain thing, and like the farmers going completely into dairy by absolving their agriculture or reducing their reliance on grain, and this whole concept of like what's going on with the doubling farmers' income, and Chandramogan opts for reducing the cost of production rather than the procurement. So one of the things that one of the things that it did was to like provide the quality fodder for the milk output at a very reduced price, which was like a value addition to his business also. What else did you see in terms of like what else did he do in terms of reducing the production, like the animal camps or like animal welfare?
See, again, what is interesting is the milk sheds which he developed. Okay, today Hatsun collects about 5 lakh liters from probably the poorest districts in Tamil Nadu, which is basically the Dharmapuri, Krishnagiri belt.
Okay? Even the Naxal-affected
so collecting about 5 lakh liters from these districts, and incidentally, one of his dairies is in a place called Palakot, which is very close to the place where Veerappan, the forest brigand, right? I mean, he was shot down there, So his dairy is actually bang in Veerappan territory. Okay, So I'll say one is of course on fodder development. See these kind of areas, most of the milk which he procures is from the uplands. These are not in the most prosperous places. In Tamil Nadu, we know the real prosperous, the traditional agri belt has been basically the Kaveri basin. Just like in Andhra, you have the Godavari basin, right? I mean, coastal Andhra or this thing. Whereas he operates mostly in places like Salem, Dharmapuri, these kind of places, Chittur, where actually farmers find it more viable to turn into dairy. Okay. See, in dairying, what is the main thing? The main thing is you need labor. Okay. You don't need much land. Okay. On 1 acre of land, you can maybe house about 6-7 cows. 6-7 cows. So on that 1 acre of land, instead of growing paddy or sugarcane or this thing, you can grow fodder. Right, you can grow fodder and you can feed these animals, right? I mean, so the idea of a pure dairy farmer, I think there again, Mr. Chandramogan, that has been, his way of thinking. Can I make the farmer so the farmer is basically a milk. He's basically somebody who grows fodder, right? And he uses a machine called the cow, and turns that fodder into milk. So can I do that? Okay, and then I think so his concept, see, as a capitalist, as I said, you want to reduce the cost of production of your raw material, which is milk. But it should not be by crushing the supplier, because the same supplier has to supply to you tomorrow also. Okay, so you do it by reducing his cost. So the first is by ensuring proper fodder management, so that he feeds the cows the right fodder, right? The right ration is supplied to the animal. Then the second is, of course, you do artificial insemination, right? You ensure that the cow is of the best breeds, okay, but at the same time, which can be maintained. So that is where artificial insemination came in. But even in artificial insemination, in many places, the insemination is very blindly carried out. Okay, I don't know from which bull that the particular I don't know from which bull the semen came. Right, so it is possible that the cow as well as the calf would have been inseminated by the semen of the same bull. Okay, I mean, let's not go into the ethics and morals and all, but there will be a problem, right? I mean, we know that inbreeding isn't a good thing, isn't a good idea, right? So today, now he has stacked. See, as I said, he has about 4 lakh farmers. Hatsun has about 4 lakh farmers, and they have already tagged about 6 lakh animals. Okay, each of them has a kind of a year tag. So you run, so you have a mobile app. Okay, you just run it over the year. Okay, and it will tell you the name, the breed of the cow, the breed's mother, the breed's the father. Father means, of course, father will be in a distant bull station. You know, the thing. So you know who the father is, who the mother is, right? And you know the date of last insemination. Okay, so you are able to sort of track not only the farmer but also his animal, right? So this is basically almost one step towards complete traceability. I mean, maybe a scenario can come when I'm buying, a packet of Arokya milk. It will be able to say from which farmer and from which cow, it has come. But maybe that kind of a thing. But you are able to do so when you do artificial insemination. You are able to do it in a scientific way. Okay, you should know that this cow should be inseminated with this semen. Okay, not with something else. And also when that farmer, when that cow has been inseminated, the calf is produced. Okay, so then the company is able to track the farmer. He will then send. So if I have inseminated a cow, okay, it takes about 9 months pregnancy. So at every stage, I am able to give SMS alerts to the farmers. Feed this thing. So you are able to do more meaningful animal husbandry interventions. So I think these are the kind of stuff which where technology comes in, digital comes in, and all these things. So I would say this has been yet another very forward thinking, and all this costs money. Engaging about, say, 120 veterinary doctors, right? They all come with money, right? But you are thinking that I will invest in these, because I will get a better product. I'll get better milk. And this farmer, today he's supplying, say, 10 liters. Tomorrow he will supply me 20 liters. Day after he may supply 30 liters. So my cost of collection then reduces, right? From the same trip, I'm able to collect more. I'm able to collect more milk, right, from that same collection center. I've paid the guy there, right? So I am able to spread the cost over more liters of milk. So this is how a capitalist should be thinking. And the capitalist should have a 5-year plan, 2-year plan, 5-year plan, not in the next season. How I make a killing in the coming summer by selling commodities. So I think that is what is, according to me, that is a very important lesson, from Hatsun.
So, speaking of this animal husbandry intervention that you spoke of, so there was an experiment that Chandramogan also did of like the automation of the machines, but later he came to know that a family taking care of a livestock is much more sustainable and profitable in the long term. So, how did he find the balance of like going through the technology and also keeping the old Indian way of family taking care of the livestock in his dairy?
See, world over, it has been demonstrated that family farms are the most efficient. Okay? The simple reason is because the husband, wife, they are all putting in the labor. Okay? Whereas a corporate cannot do farming. It is very difficult. The overheads increase because the moment you bring in a corporate, then you have vice president, you have general manager, right? You bring in all these kind of things. So the overheads shoot up. Whereas the farmer, the family farmer, he knows every bit of his land, right? Okay, fine, you may do soil analysis and all these things, but ultimately the family farmer is a very efficient operator. Okay, and plus, the family farm has to be of the right size. Okay, yeah. If you have a farm in India, if you have a farm of 30,000 cows, it's not possible. Okay, first of all, there is not so much of land that is available. Okay, and you need very high levels of automation. right? And that's a very different kind of a thing. Whereas what Mr. Chandramogan has tried to do is, you bring in part automation. Okay, you have milking machines. You don't have to do physically, you don't have to to extract the milk out. And physical manual milking, you may not be able to get also all the milk. Whereas with a milking machine, you may be able to get about 1 liter more. Because it is programmed. You have that pulsator, right? It is able to, So you have just the right amount of mechanization. So you can have milking machines. Same thing you can have fodder chopping machines, right? I mean, you can have brush cutters. So I think with the right amount of capital, you can have rain guns, right? I mean, for using the water more to save water, right? So you try and save labor, try and save water, So and that can be done best by a family farm. So the only thing is, this is a 365-day job. Okay, because in milk you cannot plug the udders of the animals. The animals, once they calve, they give milk every day. Okay, so if I have 10 animals, it is possible that 6 may be giving milk, right? So the remaining 4, maybe one may be a calf, one may be a heifer, 2 may be pregnant. Okay, but it's a 365-day job. Okay, it's not like sugarcane farming or wheat farming, where you have some rest. So this is something which will occupy the family 365 days. Okay, so not everybody can do it. In fact, if you look at Amul, its most, I think some of its best unions are like, for example, the Valsad Union. The Valsad Union in Amul has a turnover of 1,850 crore. Okay, and 80% of the farmers who are pouring milk, they are Adivasis. Okay, and probably 90% of the milk are actually poured by Adivasis. So again, Valsad Union is very unglamorous. Okay, but it must be the world's largest Adivasi company. Okay, yes. Because whenever you talk of Adivasis, you will say, Sal, Mahua, a forest, minor forest produce. Okay, whereas what Kurian did was, he identified that the Adivasis can be the most efficient milk producers. Okay, and these Adivasis, they were actually meat eaters. They never even consumed milk. Okay, they used to have black tea. Okay, but these same Adivasi producers became dairy producers, and when they went into dairy, they went into modern dairy, not traditional cattle and whatever gear and all. They went with crossbreds. They went with artificial insemination. So it is like a technology leap. So from collecting minor forest produce, I am going into modern dairy. Yeah. So that is a huge prospect. So it is possible, for to convert our entire, maybe Chhattisgarh, that entire Maoist area, maybe it can be turned into a huge dairy belt. So the milk producer is somebody who will basically be a family farm operator. Lot of labor. Okay, lot of labor. Not much land is required. Okay, with 5 acres, you can have a 50. With 5 acres, you can have a 50 cow farm. Okay, and maybe if each cow gives, say, about 20 liters on an average, you can sell maybe 600, 700 liters. And if there is a dairy which will buy on a daily basis, you can
the no milk holiday will be an assured income.
So the 5 acre farmer can be earning as much as not as much as maybe me or somebody, but definitely maybe you can earn about 30,000, 40,000 rupees per month. Sitting at
which is way more than his grain counterpart, the farmer who cultivates grain.
Precisely. Yeah. So I think dairy farming would be largely with marginal and small farmers, and maybe, I don't know, I'm yet to see very large farmers. Yes, in Gujarat, if you go to Banaskantha, if you go to Mehsana and all, now you see some very large farmers also, and they are called actually tabela. Okay, so
Tabela, yeah.
so they may have 50 animals, 100 animals, etc. But many of them are very highly automated, and the overheads are huge, so maybe that is also possible. So again, dairying offers a fascinating thing. You can have a 1 acre farmer to a big farmer, right? But and I think the focus has to be today on reducing the cost of production of milk. Till about 10 years back, India was the cheapest milk producer. Today, I think we are nowhere compared to New Zealand. So New Zealand is the world's most lowest cost producer, and they do it because their animals are fed on grass, right, on fodder, and but India can produce fodder for 365 days of the year. In New Zealand, you can produce it only for maybe 6 months. Right, so we can turn fodder, the fact that we have at least 350 days of sunshine, we can convert it into our advantage. So you give more and more of, you let the farmer grow fodder, let there be pure dairy farmers, and for too long we have treated dairy as a, subsidiary occupation, and it is not, it's also not very glamorous because it is sold every day, whereas wheat is marketed once a year, right? And the farmer comes, he comes in a tractor trolley and sells it, right? And there are many festival seasons, right? I mean, you have Pongal, you have all these are even most of our festivals are basically have to do with the harvesting season, right? Whether it is a Baisakhi, but there is no festival when it comes to milk, because milk is being sold every day. It is being sold in liters, whereas those are being sold in quintals, right? Quintals, tons, right? Trolley loads. Whereas here it is being bought every day, right? I mean, there is no this thing, and the people who are selling are mostly women. Right. So and milk is not sold in a mandi. There is no APMC mandis, right? In milk, it is being sold at your home, right? And that is why the ones who sell are mostly the women, right? And so there is a poverty alleviation, there is a gender element. There are many things, So I would say that definitely I think. Mr. Chandramogan should be maybe. I think he's no less than Dr. Verghese Kurian, in his own way. Yeah. And but unfortunately, just like Amul cannot be. You cannot say that all cooperatives are like Amul.
So Hatsun also had this very, so dairies are considered to be like a house of methane or greenhouse emissions. Hatsun, like you mentioned briefly, like how Hatsun is procuring half of its electricity consumption units from the renewable resources. So that also sets an example for how the whole dairy and the cooperatives can go ahead with the
Definitely. I think that has been part of the vertical integration. I want to control every part of what I produce. Right? So I want to control milk. Right, I should know that the quality of milk is of the right kind. Okay, and I want, and for which I go directly to the farmer. I want that the milk film, the packaging is the best. So I do the packaging. I don't give it to a third party. So I make my plastic film. So same thing. I want control over my power. Okay, so therefore I set up windmills. I set up solar this thing, so that I'm not totally reliant on the state electricity board, right? Yeah. So these are all de-risking, and maybe the next thing would be even the cattle emissions. See, a lot of cattle emissions has to do with the fact that you're not giving the right fodder, right? I mean, you're giving straws, you're giving, all these kind of things. So where automatically you produce methane as a byproduct, that comes out. But that comes down if you feed the with the right feeding practices. So that is one way of bringing down the cattle methane emissions also. If you give them more of green fodder, more of greens. Whereas here you're giving them too much of see ultimately all this has to be what is a cow? Cow basically has 4 stomachs, right? All these is getting in the rumen, the processing. So methane is a byproduct of that, right? Yeah. And which is what is whatever. There are a lot of concerns over that cows, that livestock are a huge source of methane, including in India. Yeah.
So speaking of the brand thing, do you think that the whole ad after Rice came to and with his daughter came to consult Chandramogan, the whole campaign of Nalarai Pal, the 4.5% campaign, did it give the distinction that same Amul enjoys with his ad? Did it give the same distinction to Arukya in the market?
Just like Amul, when you buy full cream milk, they say minimum 6%. Okay, if you see, they don't say 6%; they say minimum 6%. Okay, when they say tone milk, they say minimum 3.5%. Minimum 3%. Okay, that's what they say. So immediately that itself creates a direct connect with the consumer, right? So when the consumer is buying mother dairy and he says, "Hey man, I'm getting something extra here. He's giving me something more." Right. So in the case of we know that in Tamil Nadu, Avin had a real monopoly, but Avin was selling basically tone milk. Everything was this thing. So then Mr. Chandramogan said, "Hey man, I won't give 3% this thing. I'll give 4.5%. Okay, yeah, and plus that milk will be homogenized." Okay. See, like my daughter, for example, one reason why she doesn't like milk is because of the fat, right? The cream comes on the top.
Yeah, the droplets are there. They come down.
Yeah. There are many people who like it, but she doesn't like it. Okay, so when I give my daughter milk, I have to ensure that it is not too hot. So so it has to be lukewarm so that she can just drink it in one gulp. Yeah. Okay. Whereas what Mr. Chandramogan realized is, hey, if I sell milk which is homogenized, then the cream will not come to the top. The cream, the fat will be, the globules will be, distributed uniformly across the thing. So that is where I think he got into this thing. He saw that, hey man, Avin is not selling 4.5% milk. I will sell it, and he sold it as Nalarai Pal. That is 4.5 this thing. Yeah. So I think initially he was selling it as standardized milk and this kind of a thing. So I think it was All Rice who gave him the advice. Hey, don't sell it as, don't say standardized, toned and all. You say 4.5, So
the whole brand positioning, the brand record.
You sell it as, you brand it as 4.5 milk. So that is how he started this idea of selling it as a Nalarai Pal. Instead of trying to sell standardized milk. The consumer may not relate directly to it. Like in the case of I think Amul, it is very interesting. This minimum 6%. I think that has a lot of appeal. So people will say, hey man, so I know to distinguish between Amul and say mother dairy milk. So this is what happened in the NCR. So in Tamil Nadu, same thing, he gave this thing, hey, they are giving you 3% milk, I am giving you 4.5% milk, and plus it is homogenized, right? Yeah, and you taste it once, then you won't go back to Avin milk. It is something like, see, you have to play with the consumer's mind, but you cannot offer a shoddy product, In the regular case, he could have come out with the same tone milk and offered it at, say, 1 rupee less to the consumer, okay, and basically paying also 1 rupee less to the farmer. Whereas here he says, hey, nay, I'll pay maybe 1 rupee more to the farmer. I'll ensure that he gets the payment the same day, right? I won't default on his payment, and I'll charge 1 rupee more to the consumer.
With the whole transparency of eco analyzers and all.
Yes, precisely. Yeah. So what is fascinating is Mr. Chandramogan never went to a B school or nothing of this kind. These are all, learning on the job, learning, being able to assess the consumer, knowing the consumer psychology. I think Tamil Nadu has been a laboratory. Many people.
Well, thank you so much, Harish. It's been a fantastic discussion.
I think we covered quite a lot of ground, probably more than even the book. Yeah.
It's a lot of things came with a few minute points. And again, a very warm congratulations, sir, for writing such an insightful book and in fact, like captivating the whole journey of this business. Like if one starts, for me, it went. I wrapped it up in a day. By the end of the day,
but there are more such case studies, especially of agri entrepreneurs. You are an agri reporter. Even I have been an agri reporter. So I think we should bring these into the domain. So when Mr. Chandramogan said that, can you document my this thing? I didn't know much. I knew that. See, he had always been fascinating me because he was collecting milk directly from the farmer. So I knew him first in around 2008 or something. I saw him, but I didn't know all this kind of background. How he started off. These kind of things I didn't know. All I knew was that, hey man, this fellow, he's like Amul. He's buying directly from the farmers. And there are no payment defaults. There are no milk holidays. And he's invested so much. Whether in bulk coolers, whether in this thing. So I always saw him as a guy with a lot of integrity. Very different from the normal capitalist or entrepreneur. So when he said that, I said, okay, why not? And then I started then I found, hey man, this is very interesting. So then I sounded out Penguin, as a maybe we can bring it out as a commercial publication. Otherwise, I think we were looking at documenting it more for his own use, for internal use, this has been my journey. So, more kind of a thing. But then at some point when I started writing the story, I saw, hey man, it's worth doing it as through a commercial publication, through a commercial publisher. Why not? If someone can write on Infosys and Hero and all, why not Hatsun? Okay, fine. So.
And when the things begins to unravel in this book, it becomes like you need to end it. You need to like the whole journey. It's not just about success. It's about trial and learning and learning through and through.
And you'll see the number of blunders he made. The number of mistakes he made is it's again part of the learning
part of the process.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. It's a fantastic. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.